up, guys? My name, of course, is Travis, and I want to welcome you back to my channel, and thank you so much for stopping by to check out my video for today. Today's video, it's not going to be a rant or anything like that. What this is basically like a, I'll call it a learning video, basically, like an educational video. What I'm going to be talking about today is the difference between a remake, a remaster, and a reboot. Because there seems to be a lot of confusion for people about the difference between the three. So I'm basically going to explain exactly what the differences are. And the whole purpose of this video, the reason I got the idea for it, was because back in August, everybody knows that I'm a diehard Resident Evil fan. I mean, come on. I have the Umbrella logo tattooed on the back of my arm. So everybody knows that I'm a diehard Resident Evil fan. Everybody also knows, if you've watched my videos before, I'm a diehard fan of the old school Resident Evil. And I think it's really funny. One thing I was thinking about like the series as a whole, Resident Evil has a very split fan base. You have the old school people like me who, who love the originals, and then you have the new ones, the new school people who liked 4 and up. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Resident Evil 4. It was honestly the last good one that I played, in my opinion. But I just think that's funny, and the whole reason that I decided to make this video was simply because I went back earlier today and watched the announcement that Capcom had made and posted on the Resident Evil YouTube channel, and I, talking about the Resident Evil 2 remake, and, I was looking through the comments, and there's so many different ones, and the most frequent topic of arguments or discussion is, how's the game going to be? Is it going to have that old school feel to it with the, fixed camera angles and, things like that? Or is it going to have the new school feel where it's over the shoulder and really actiony? Now, as a old school fan, it's pretty much abundant what I want it to be. And, everybody's talking about, it's a remake, therefore it's going to be, it's going to be like the newer ones and blah, blah, blah. Well, let's just go over what the difference is between remakes, remasters, and, just for the sake of arguments, reboots are. Because, like I said, there was a lot of back and forth, blah, 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 this, that, and the other in the comments section about what it's going to be. Now, everything on the internet, if you look anywhere about the Resident Evil 2 remake, that is exactly what it is called. And that's even what Capcom called it. Excuse me. That's even what Capcom called it, and that's even what they posted, whenever it showed the video of them announcing it, it even said Resident Evil 2 Remake on the screen, on the TV that Mr. H was standing in front of. So, it is a remake. Now, let's go over the definition of what a remake is. A remake is, it's taking something that has been done and completely overhauling it. Like you're giving it a whole fresh new coat of paint. And a perfect example would be exactly what we're talking about. The original PlayStation Resident Evil, which is this right here. Okay? You have old school original Resident Evil, god-awful graphics, fucking the worst voice acting of any video game in history. And then you have the 2002 GameCube remake. It is the same game, but what they have done is they have added more to it. They've completely overhauled the graphics engine. They've completely redone the voice acting. They've completely, they've added more stuff to it. There's more content in that game than there was the original. Another perfect example of another kind of remake, the Halloween movies. Rob Zombie remade the first 2 Halloween movies. Nightmare on Elm Street, the Amityville Horror. Those are all considered remakes because they don't defer away from the original premise that the older ones had. They kept the same story. They just tweaked a few things and added more stuff to them. And so that is what you would classify as a remake. Now, as far as the difference between a remaster and a remake, well, okay, a remaster, they have those constantly, everywhere you see now. Everywhere, like, majority of, like, movies have been remastered. I mean, Disney does that shit all the time. Like, you can buy, like, right now, I know it wasn't too god-awful long ago, Aladdin came out in digital HD, and it was fully remastered. Basically what remastering is exactly what they did with the GameCube remake of Resident Evil. They remastered it and released it earlier this year. Now, what they did with it, and you can see a significant difference in the two of them. What they did with it is they added better lighting. The fixed camera angles are more fluid, so when you go from one position to another and the camera angle changes, it does it more fluidly. It's not like all stuttered and everything else like it was in the older one. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the GameCube remake itself, because that was actually, from what I understand, it was actually the best looking game on any console at the time, and it still holds up to this day as being one of the scariest ever made. Now, another definition of a remaster, take a look at the games that haven't been out too god-awful long, and for some odd reason they've already got a remaster on them, like God of War 3 and The Last of Us. You know, those two games have been remastered, and you can tell a huge difference in the original PS3 version of those games and the PS4 version of those games, because the frame rate is 60 frames per second. It is so smooth. Like, it's unreal how smooth it is. There's no frame rate drop. The image looks sharper. Everything on the images looks sharper. It's more crisp and clear. The lighting is better. Just everything about remasters. It's basically a polish. It's a really fine tooth comb polish is what it is. And that's really the difference between a remake and a remaster. I mean, not remake and a remaster, but either way, that's the definition of a remaster. So what Resident Evil 2 is getting is a remaster. Now, a lot of people, are saying, oh, it's a reboot. No, it is not. Because a reboot, yes, we're getting into that portion of it. A reboot is basically, it's something that you're bringing a series back. Like, something that has been dormant for a very long time, like a series that has been dormant for a long time, and you're bringing it back. It's not a remake, because you're not redoing an original. What you're doing is you're bringing something new with it. Perfect example, Star Wars, the new Star Wars, Jurassic World. Those are reboots, okay, because you're bringing back an old series, but you're bringing something new to the table with it. Now, a lot of people, I read this was over a year ago. I want to say it was close to 2 years ago, that they were talking about rebooting Dino Crisis. Everybody was like, oh, I can't wait to play old school looking Dino Crisis again and everything, blah, blah, blah. No, you're talking about them remaking Dino Crisis. That's what you're talking about. Them talking about rebooting Dino Crisis is bringing the series back. Now, everybody knows the piece of shapoopy that was Dino Crisis 3. Everybody knows that game was complete garbage. Now, personally, I would like to see both happen. As far as a remake of the original 2 and a reboot of the series completely. Bringing something new to the table with it. Maybe having a sequel to 2. Because the third one was not a sequel to 2. The third one was about the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. So those are basically what each one of those is. Like, a remake, a remaster, and a reboot. That's what the three of those are. And, I keep seeing people in the comment section of that video, with the announcement video for Resident Evil 2, and all the new school people, and yes, I am biased. I will admit that I am on the side of old school Resident Evil. So I guess you could say I am biased. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but, that's pretty much it. To that, I say, I could give a fuck by no hate, as long as my bitch love. Now, That being said, like I said, I know I'm biased, but it's your own. It's what you like. To each his own. But as far as the people who are saying, yeah, it's going to be over the shoulder and blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. It's going to be just like the GameCube remake was. And the reason for that is because even Capcom has said this is a full remake. So, what Invader Games did, over the last year and a half, making Resident Evil 2 Reborn with that over-the-shoulder stuff, all they did, that was nothing more than a glorified mod. That's all that was. Just a glorified mod. Nothing more, nothing less. What Capcom is going to do is they're going to make it like they did the GameCube remake. Because the whole reason it's even happening is because of the old school fans like myself. We asked for it for so long. We wanted it. They finally are going to deliver. So, I hate to break the news to all the new school people that are going to be solely disappointed whenever they play it, because it's going to have fixed camera angles. It's going to be just like the older ones was. Now, unless Capcom somehow finds a way to provide for both sides in the sense that you can play the game with either fixed camera angles or you can play it over the shoulder third-person view, then I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, grab it and growl, grit your teeth, bear it. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, because that's how it's going to go down. It's not a reboot. It's not a remaster. It is a remake. So, like I said, I don't know what to tell you. I would bet dollars to donuts that that's how it's going to be. I would be extremely shocked if Capcom went about it the way Invader Games did. Which I know Invader Games, they did the best they could with what they had. They used the Unreal 4 engine to make it. And, for what it was, I mean, it wasn't bad. But, like I said, as someone who is a fan of old school, I don't like the over-the-shoulder. I think it takes away from what Resident Evil is, which is a survival horror game. And while we're on that subject, one thing that I saw in the comment section of that video was so stupid that it bears repeating. This guy, I'm not going to say who he is or anything like that, had a link to his channel, and he said, hey, go check out my channel. I've already made, a couple of videos on this. And he made a video that was probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I couldn't even watch it because it was so stupid. He said that Resident Evil does not need to be survival horror in order to be successful. That could not be any further from the truth. Resident Evil is the epitome of survival horror. It is what made the genre. That game made the genre because it came before Silent Hill and all those other games that, basically just kept the ball rolling with it. So, saying that Resident Evil does not need to be survival horror is no. I mean, if Capcom if they really, for some unknown reason, wanted to make it over the shoulder and a little more actiony, I could not for the life of me figure out why they would ever take the survival horror aspect out of the game that made it. I mean, the new school people, they'll argue, and even some of the old school people will argue that Resident Evil 4 is the crown jewel of the entire series. While I'm not taking anything away from it, I personally don't think it was, because you have other people like me who strongly feel like Resident Evil 2 was the crown jewel of the entire series. But just the idea of taking away the survival horror aspect of that game is just ridiculous. That's so stupid. That's got to be one of the dumbest statements I've ever heard. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was informative for you, and that you know the difference now between a remake, a remaster, and a reboot. Because, like I said, there are significant differences in all three of them. So let me know in the comment section below, and follow me on Twitter and tweet at me. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys think that it's going to be back to old school, or if you guys think that it's going to be over-the-shoulder, third-person view type game when it does come out, which I'm sure we'll see hopefully around the beginning of next year sometime. I'm not, I don't, Capcom announced it back in August, so they've had some time to, get the ball rolling with it and everything. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I want to hear your opinions. I want you guys to talk to me. Other than that, that's going to be it for me. So I'll see you.